Bassmaster Classic winner, Mr. Iaconelli.
Thank you. Thank you. How's everybody doing today? Great. Yeah, everybody good?
Yep.
Man, everybody getting ready for fishing this year? We didn't have much of a winter. Hardly any winter at all, man. I'm excited. Normally this time of year we're shoveling snow, we've got ice. It's been nice this year. It's been good. You know, today we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about techniques that you want to know about. How many people watched a show that was on the last 4 years on Versus called City Limits? Raise your hand. Everybody watch it? Yeah. Everybody like it? Good show? Yeah. Where'd it go? Some guy with long hair stole the show from me. I don't know who that guy is. Well, you know, what happened is the producer of the show called me up and he said, Mike, we want you to do something every time you catch a fish. And I looked at what it was and I'm like, I can't do that. And basically they wanted me to give a rose to every fish that I caught. So that's why they gave me some back. I couldn't do it. That was a joke. They really let's talk about the shows, and we'll use the shows to get into some of the different things we'll talk about today. So, show of hands, let's just go one at a time. What's your favorite episode of City Limits ever? We'll start on this side.
What's
yes,
yours?
Sir. Philadelphia. Okay. Philadelphia show. It's actually the first show we ever shot in City Limits. The interesting thing is we had no idea what we were doing at the time. We had this idea of let's film a show in cities and urban cities and it'll be a cool show. And we didn't know what we were doing. But I tell you, it really set the tone for fishing a lot of urban rivers or river waterways. How many people fish rivers or streams? Raise your hand. A lot of you. And I fished all over the country fishing rivers and streams. And there's always one common denominator of where I'm going to find fish. Any time of the year, but especially when it's nice out, from spring to fall. There's one common denominator. One word I'm looking for. What is it? Current, right? It's current. And it's something called an eddy, a seam, a current break. How many people know what I'm talking about? Okay? That's so key wherever you go. It's a universal factor, whether it was Philadelphia, that first show, or Potomac River, San Juan, I mean all these different rivers I've fished. It always gets down to current and a break or seam, right? So here's all it is, you know? If you're fishing a place that has current, current's going to be spilling out. It's going to be flowing this way. And whenever that current is interrupted by something, whether it's a log or a rock or a bend in the river, whatever it is, a bridge piling, whenever that current's interrupted by something, what happens? Breaks that current, right? Makes a seam. Look at that yellow line right here. That's about what a current seam looks like. And what happens is as that current flows this way, it hits something, and then it kind of wants to go this way, and makes it go this way, and it creates an area of slack water right at that seam, where you've got current going one way, current back swirling or back eddying a different way, and there's a break. Isn't that the perfect spot for fish to set up no matter where you fish? It's a feeding station, right? So they don't have to fight the current. They can sit there. Fish are lazy, man. They're like us. They want to be fed, you know? I'm hungry. I go, Becky, where's my food? I don't say that. Nobody's videotaping that, right? Hey, don't send that to her. I don't really say that. But you know, I'm lazy. I mean, I want the food cooked for me. I like stuff put in front of me. The fish are the same way. In Philadelphia, we fished the Schuylkill River, and I found a spot that was a pipe. And it was a very special kind of pipe. I'll give you a hint. When you got about a quarter mile to it, you smelled something very pungent in the air. What kind of pipe was it? Sewage pipe, also known as a poop pipe. And even a poop pipe, think about what it was doing. It was creating current flow in a different direction. And where that pipe was and that flow came out, it hit the main river, it created a little back eddy, there was a little dead spot in the current, and all that current break is where we caught a lot of those big smallmouth in that show. So Philadelphia was great. It's all about current breaks. How about another show? Show of hands. Yes, sir. brown trout in Milwaukee. How many trout fishermen in the room? Okay. I gotta tell you, I love trout fishing since I was very young. Since I was, how old were you? 3. How old were you? 8. Okay. When I was about 5, I fell in love with trout fishing. And in Jersey, you know what trout fishing meant? It meant opening day. How many people fish opening day trout? Isn't it great? You get down here like, man, I'm going to wake up like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to wake up super early. I'm going to be up earlier than anybody else. And you go to Wawa and you get Velveeta cheese, and you've got the whole kernel corn from the supermarket. Man, you're stoked. You've got your rod holders. I'm going to be there 4 o'clock in the morning. Man, I'm going to be the first one. I'm getting the choice spot. You even park down the street because you know what it's going to be like later. You park a mile away. As you get up, you climb the hill and you get to the pond where you're fishing. You look, there's like 1,000 people lined up already. What the? So you get in there, man, you got like elbow a spot. You're like picking a fight to get in. Finally, you get to the place, set up your camp right there, you start chumming. I've loved trout fishing since I was a little kid. It's fun. But a big trout for me, from when I was that old till I filmed that show, a big trout for me was like 4 or 5 pounds. You know, honestly, most trout I've ever caught in my life are stock trout, you know, 1 pound to 2 pounds. And I got to Milwaukee, and we got an opportunity to catch trout up to 20 pounds. Brown trout. Isn't that unbelievable? Brown trout up to 20 pounds. And interesting thing I learned there is trout, bass, saltwater, doesn't matter. They're affected by weather change. And that's something that we had in that show. So we got there when it's warm and those fish are biting, they're catching them on jerk baits. You can throw and cast, you can throw spinners. They just move, right? They're hungry, they're eating. We showed up, major cold front came through, they wouldn't eat. We ended up catching them on little hair jigs, little crappie jigs like that big under a float. Anybody heard the float fly technique? It's an amazing technique, and it really opened my eyes on how effective it is. And it's the most simple thing in fishing. You're using a float, using a fork to control the depth of that little tiny jig, that little tiny float line. It's unbelievable. And so we got it dialed. We had a couple rods rigged. One had the bobber up that high, another one had it up that high, another one had it up that high, and we fished until we got our first bite. And then once we figured out what level the fish were at, we put it all the floats at that level, and we started killing them. And we cast it out, and we would hardly move that float to get those trout to bite. So think about that fly down there, sitting about that far under a float. Did it have movement on its own, even though we weren't moving it? It did, right? And why was that little crappie jig moving? Current, right? Every place you go, there's wind. There's the boat winks. If you're like me and you drink 10 of those iced up energy drinks in the morning, you know, you're always like that. So we would just hold them there, and those big trout were eating them. So it's an incredible thing. The last one, and by the way, it was all a 6-pound test. The last one we caught at the end of the day, we hooked it, and it got caught wrapped around a piling, and we couldn't get it. The guy wouldn't let me out of the boat. I hopped up on the dock on the other side. He threw me the rod. I caught the rod. Got it around the pile and landed it, and it was a small one. It was only like an 18-pound brown trout. No big deal. Awesome deal. Milwaukee brown trout fishing. Any more? City limits. Yes, sir. Buffalo, New York. I'll tell you something. Buffalo, New York is awesome. It's an awesome town. Buffalo, New York had something very interesting happen to it about 15 years ago. It got invaded by aliens. Buffalo got invaded by aliens. Do you believe me? Lake Erie got invaded by aliens. What aliens are they? The gobies and zebra mussels. Anybody know the gobies and the zebra mussels? They came down in a spaceship. They were like beamed down in the water. The goby leader was like, I am your leader. Sent them down there. And it really changed that fishery. It's funny because an exotic species like zebra mussel changed the fishery completely. And the fish changed, you know, and I think that's a golden rule of fishing to think about, is that how we get better as anglers, no matter what you fish for, is being able to change for the conditions, right? So, a day we go fishing, what are some changes that happen like that during the day? It's windy, sunny, cloudy, cold, rain, clarity, there's 30 dudes in front of you fishing the same spot. Those things change instantly, but on Lake Erie, in Buffalo, about 15 years ago when zebra mussels first started coming in, over time, they changed the water clarity of the fish. It got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And that changed where the fish lived. It used to be on Lake Erie, you could fish 5 foot of water all year and catch smallmouth. Now you go there in the heat of the summer, you've got to fish 30 feet, 40 feet. This guy's catching about 80 feet because the water got cleaner. Same thing with the forage. Main forage at Lake Erie 15 or 20 years ago used to be crawfish and used to be baitfish, emeralds, emerald shiners. Now, the #1 forage for smallmouth in Lake Erie is the goby. And that goby, it's like an hors d'oeuvre, it's like an appetizer. There's no spine in it. They get to be about that big, they're all protein. They don't swim very fast. Pretty dumb. And the smallmouth are eating them up. And just like the clarity changed, the forage changed. So now, you used to be able to catch smallmouth reeling spinnerbait, reeling stuff near the top. Goby live on the bottom, so where are the smallmouth eating? On the bottom. It's important to change your techniques to the changing fish. Always do that. Anybody else have a favorite City Limits episode? Yes, sir. Ice fishing. Anybody ever ice fishing in the room? Raise your hand. You have been ice fishing? It's fun, right? Up till last year, when we filmed that, I had never been ice fishing in my life. For whatever reason, growing up in New Jersey, when the lakes got hard, we would go skate. We'd go play ice hockey. We never went ice fishing. And my stereotype of ice fishing growing up was that here's these dudes, they're building these little huts, they're going out, they're fishing, but you know what? They've got a bottle of Evan Williams in the back, got some Bud Light, you know, they're having a good time. That's what I thought ice fishing was, until this show. And it opened up my eyes to what all of fishing is, even ice fishing. So we show up, this guy's like, okay, you ready to ice fish? Yeah, ready. We put on these suits, all this gear, stay warm out there, it's like 0 degrees. We get out there nice, he's got a sled. And on the sled he's got rods, and he's got a depth finder, and he's got all this stuff, tip-offs, and I'm like, this is crazy, this is like different than what I thought. And then he gets out in the ice and he's got a handheld GPS. And in the GPS he's got a lake map, a topographical lake map. And he's following the contour breaks. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this is what I do in bass fishing, right? When I'm bass fishing, I follow the contour breaks. The area of the lake that has changed goes from shallow to deep. Those breaks are like highways for the fish. All of a sudden, he's got this handheld GPS. He's walking, he gets out to this ridge on this point, and he starts going like this. I'm like, man, this dude was having a stanky leg. Thought that was a new deal. And he's doing this, he does it, and he's following this contour break at this point. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? And then all of a sudden he gets off the sled, gets this big ice auger out, and he goes, here, drill. And I'm like, all right. So I get this power auger, and we start drilling holes every 5 foot down that line that he created with his foot. And I do like 50 holes. And I'm like sweating, I'm tired, I'm like, God, this is supposed to be fun. I'm out of breath. And then he goes, gives me this rod, it's about that big.